Okay, before I say what I'm about to say, just know it might ruffle a few feathers. Alright, here we go. AEW reportedly selling 60,000 plus tickets for All In at Wembley is actually a W.
I know that ain't who I think it is.
That's right, guys. It looks like I'm finally turning heel. I'm officially an AEW stan. Or at least that's what some people think whenever someone has anything complimentary to say about AEW. And vice versa, if you say anything critical about it, you're the worst human being on the planet and you should die for having an opinion. Or you get put in some random Twitter list created by completely sane individuals who properly use their words to share how they feel about you. I absolutely love these kinds of people. Like this guy. What a nice guy. Mr. Future Pastor. I actually think it's pretty dope that AEW managed to get that many tickets sold without even a single match being announced. And I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty skeptical at first, but they proved me wrong, so I'll always give credit where credit is due. Let us clap for Tony Khan. Now with that being said, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves though. Right now, they don't have matches that need a stadium, they have a whole stadium that needs matches. That's the part that people need to take into consideration before crowning this as a full success. And that is what I want to talk about today. As great that it is that AEW sold all those tickets, Tony still needs to put a card together. And unfortunately, in my opinion, there isn't really a match or a feud right now that can headline a show like that. But there can be. Let's talk about it. Alright, there's no denying it now, AEW's product has been steadily declining since it began in 2019. Tony has proven that no matter how many dream matches, or announcements, or game changer signings, the show goes nowhere. And now that good guy Triple H is in charge of creative, and talent isn't leaving or getting fired in batches, there's not too many people now that Tony can sign to just pop a rating. And I don't know if anyone else has noticed this, but I've been saying for the longest time that all the Vince nonsense from last year would end up being a nightmare for AEW. WWE program is slowly changing for the better and AEW is struggling to keep eyes on the product. That's not even me hating either, I'm just being realistic. Ratings and demos are bullshit, but that's all people want to talk about, so we're gonna talk about it. Dynamite just recorded its lowest viewership in a very long time, I forget that Rampage even exists, and ain't nobody watching All Access. Plus, Tony wants to have a brand split and another show? What in the ECW 2008 is going on in that promotion? And not to mention that ROH is basically non-existent at this point. The overall product as a whole has been the definition of stale. The same criticism that we gave to Vince about being stuck in his way about his booking is the same treatment that we have to give to old Tony Boy. He's never gonna change his booking style and he's becoming more and more like Herb Abrams every week. If you don't know who he is, look him up, the parallels are there. Now, it'd be really easy to just make another video talking about how far the product has fallen, but that's way too easy. I could honestly just say the same things from previous videos word for word. Instead, I want to take a different approach. Tony Khan and AEW have the chance right now to put on the best card on the biggest show in the history of the company. The show is already being hyped up to the moon and there aren't even any matches announced yet. You already know the UK crowd is going to be hot based on what we saw at Clash at the Castle because the UK fans don't really have a lot of mainstream wrestling up there. But I hope that Tony Khan doesn't just book for the crowd in attendance, I hope he books for the people watching as well. Even though that might be a success in the UK, AEW hasn't exactly been looking too hot in America. All In needs to be something that people will get interested in seeing. And by people, I don't mean the audience that's just gonna watch no matter what they get. I'm talking about all wrestling fans. AEW's mission from the beginning was to give us a product that all wrestling fans would enjoy. Now it's just niche, and there's one underlying story that everyone knows about but AEW won't address. And that one story could be entertaining enough to carry All In. All we need is for the elite to swallow their pride and work with CM Punk and FTR. And before anyone comes at me and says, CM Punk was so unprofessional, AEW doesn't need him. 1, it's a business, shut up. Number 2, look how Dynamite's been since he's been gone. 3, when you actually think about it, Punk wasn't exactly wrong with what he said. How he went about it though, debatable. 4, see reason number 1. But regardless of who you think is in the right, the story is there. The media scrum, the Elite mocking Punk when they returned, the Young Bucks not doing a rubber match with FTR, it is so simple. This could honestly either be a 6-man tag, or just be 2 separate matches with FTR versus the Bucks for the tag titles and Kenny Omega versus CM Punk. There's animosity there already. The idea of pro wrestling is to make fans believe what they're seeing is real. One of the things that Vince McMahon did over the years was turn real issues into storylines. Edge versus Matt Hardy is a great example. It's a business. Wrestlers don't all need to be friends and sing Kumbaya together. I want to see stories where people, legitimately or not, want to punch each other in the face. Those are 2 matches that I can easily see wrestling fans tune in to see what happens as long as the build is on point. The ratings right now are nosediving because fans don't have anything to be interested in. Like I said, this all could be so simple, but let's be real. MJF is probably just going to main event against Darby Allin, the Elite is probably going to face the the BCC, and FTR is probably going to face Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett. I just want a good show, and it's annoying because what should happen probably won't happen, and it'll just be another card filled with But overall, I hope that this show is a success for AEW because they desperately need it right now. As much as people think that my takes are just to tear down AEW, I promise that's not the case. I want AEW to succeed. Because if AEW succeeds, the wrestling world as a whole succeeds. But how do you see All In shaping out to be? Let me know.